and consoles and play games, or is it all going to go to a download and a partial download and first to play, so forth?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
Panel, so
Yes.
People like instant gratification, right? I don't want to get off my chair, go to the store, and buy it if I can just click download and play it in 2 seconds. I mean, connection speeds are so fast nowadays. I have a 50 megabit connection to my house. You know, Time Warner Cable gives you 50 megabits. I can download, bing, done. I mean,
and the
instant gratification.
And the supply side, for ability to, like, for Civ 5, we didn't ship the EXE on the disc for piracy reasons. I mean, on the supply side, it's just so attractive to not have to print media and stuff. Even if you lose 20-30% of people, you'll still make more money because of the supply cost.
Yeah, and you don't have the inventory.
Yeah, you don't have inventory. There's just too much inertia behind it.
You have no regard for the people making those plastic cases? They're all going to be out of work?
No, they have other things they can
Think
do.
of the environment, you know.
No returns. Let's not forget that.
Or,
Yeah. No landfill.
used games.
No, I was going to say landfill. I like that. Yeah.
That's right.
You're going to see more and more trends going towards digital, download, but you're not going to see retail completely go away. Until we can solve the problem of streaming, a new Xbox to your living room directly via digital download. There'll always be that retail equation where you need to go and buy that and that next thing.
We still buy magazines, don't we? And newspapers.
Not many.
Not me.
Yeah.
They sell them.
I think one of the reasons why people might still buy a box copy is just because it's cheaper than the Steam version.
Well, and they want the physical copy. I mean, sometimes you put it on the shelf. That's why you buy the limited
Yeah.
edition version. It comes with the 3x X box with the map and a little trinket inside. Then you paid $50 more for it. But you got
Well,
the value. I got this box.
And,
It's heavy too.
and theoretically, you always have your registration number with you, theoretically, right?
Yeah.
If you buy it online, you kind of have that too.
Well, I mean, you see this all the time.
Depends who you buy
Distribution,
it from.
Well, that's true.
distribution models always change. I mean, people used to have their milk delivered, and no one does that anymore. There used to go to a gas station and people would pump it for you.
My house still has that little door on the side, though.
I have my milk delivered.
Well, okay, so there'll be a small percent of people.
Wait, you live in the UK.
I live in
Yes.
Woodinville.
I'm just adding one other comment why people
I
might
can't
still
see.
buy discs, which is that if you buy it from Steam and Steam go bust, you've lost all your games. If I buy it and it's on my shelf, if Steam go bust, it's still on my shelf.
Is that really a consideration? Do you really, does that mean a conscious thought when you're making your purchase?
Well, certainly these are things like music. So if I buy music from somebody who they had all the DMR on it, and like Woolworths was one example, when they went bust, everybody who bought music from Woolworths had lost all their music. It all went with the company.
Yeah.
So you buy a music collection just because the company's gone bust doesn't mean you want to stop listening to music. So yeah, I think that probably is a real consideration, unless there's some way in which you have a guarantee that you'll carry on being able to get these keys to carry on playing the software, even if the company goes bust.
That's interesting.
People still want to. I mean, it's a game you go for 6 weeks and then complete it and that's it. It can go.
Yeah.
It'll go in big or it matters. You're used to it, then it doesn't matter so much whether the company's going to go bust or not. But if this is something you want to keep coming back to, so more sort of social type games, then not losing it just because the company won't belly up is probably important to people.
I totally agree, if I can comment on that. But one thing that social gaming has taught me is that there's a small percentage of people who will do anything, right? And so, you have 900 million people and, less than half of 1% of them, right, are in your camp. They're going to want that digital media, but 99% of the other people don't really care. So I totally agree. There's always a percentage of people who will want that avenue. The question is, how big is that percentage? If it's over 50%, then it's something we should really take a look at, right?
It was up hugely when Woolworths went bankrupt and lots of people lost all their music.
No, I totally agree, which is why I say go to Apple.
I don't think I don't think you can make the analogy clearly between music and games, because how many of us here would want to play the 1999 version of Wolfenstein? I mean, it's just.
Well, yeah, I mean, I
Yeah?
do.
Okay, all right, hot shots. Great, you raised your hand. Second question, when was the last time you did it? Oh, in 1999.
Well, but that MAME is a huge market about playing old products, and I have a MAME machine. I love to play these old games all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I have them on my MAME machine, by the way. That doesn't mean anyway, we'll move on. But I love to play the old games, absolutely. I don't play them every day, but it's nice for me to go back and play them again.
We're got 15 minutes left, and I want to open it up to the floor, give you guys a chance to comment or question. So right there, first one up.
You first started,
Really loud, use your outside voice.
so you first started talking about the consoles, probably holding the PC back because they barely have any computational power compared to the
Yeah,
PC.
limited screen size.
As screen as well. So the new consoles, we've all been expecting one during the E3, didn't happen.
Right.
But yet, there's still coming one now a year,
maybe.
So what's that going to mean for PC gaming?
Well,
Because
it's,
you said that we can't fully use PCs, and PCs are becoming stronger even at the low end. But soon there's...
well, wait, I'm going to be clear in your question. So are you saying if a new console shows up, does that change the dynamic of the porting sequence? Is that the question?
Yeah, for example, and will it boost PC gaming as well? Because there's more incentive to produce better looking games. But it might also be more expensive as well.
Well, one of the disadvantages of the PC is that it's set, right? And it's been set since 8086, and there's these backward compatibility thing we've had to deal with forever, right? But you take ATI as an example, and you say, hey, go off and create a chip on your own with no limitations whatever, and we'll put it in the Xbox, right? And it's going to do more things than anybody else has ever imagined. And at the time, you couldn't get a graphic card for the PC that did what the Xbox 360 could do, right? But since then, we've gone way past that point, right? So that's the problem with consoles. They're set, right? You set with something, you put it in your thing, and that's as far as it's ever going to get. So eventually, it's going to look old, right? I mean, nobody has their Nintendo 8-bit anymore thinking, hey, this is cool. Back in the days, that was the greatest thing ever, right? But you look back at it, and it's just old, and it's just dated. So PCs are always going to continue to evolve, in my opinion. And while a console may come out, I just think that the days of a dedicated individual machine that only does things on their level is going to go down, right? As you get these multi-devices that can do multiple things, right? There's no real limitation, anymore. I mean, it really comes down to, do you want iOS or Android, or even Metro, when it comes out. And that's about it anymore, right? So, but the capabilities, of a PC is always going to grow. I guess that's just what I was going to say.
I think with the advent of the next generation of consoles, whatever they may be, it's going to be absolutely huge for PC. If you're a multi-platform developer, you've always got to pick sort of your best possible platform. And so for example, when the new consoles come out, we'll be generating much higher resolution assets, and then possibly scaling down for lower end PCs. But I think we're going to see a real big jump in fidelity, really.
Mm-hmm.
I would add that historically, if you go back in the PS2 days, or the Wii day, some of these platforms, that it used to be that consoles are very different beasts than PCs. But I think it's unrealistic to think that due to the capital expenditure designing a graphics chip is so astronomical, and or a CPU is so astronomical, I wouldn't expect to see these consoles that have these very, very different architectures.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the Xbox 360 and PS3, these were PC parts. Effectively, they were just slightly customized. They weren't unique. I mean, there's
That's right.
the I don't know how much I can say, but the Xbox 360 part and the PS3 part are related. I mean, they're based off the same specification. That was hugely nice when we were going and porting them. I mean, there were different characteristics, but their feature sets had perfect parity. And I would expect more of that going forward. You're just not going to see the capital expenditure is just so massive that you're not going to see this divergence in architecture that you used to see.
Yeah. Let's see here. Louder, Remy. I can't hear you.
The what the panel thinking about web browser as a delivery method, distribution method for game. We took the Facebook, but in general, games in the web through web browser. Is that viable on a?
Can I take
He,
that one?
he wants that answer because he has to write a business plan on that.
Go, Chris.
Yeah. So I started looking at Webtech 2 years ago. When I went in, I was cynical and jaded, and I looked at how non-performant it was, and then my eyes started to open a little more. And what happened was, in the end, I realized that this is an amazingly powerful platform, and not just because it's the CPU and GPU that you can apply directly to the app. It's the automatic nature of the fact that the person in front of this browser is connected to the internet. The fact that they can download things from any device that is, let's just say, HTML5 canvas compatible, or experience it, that it moves. It's automatically on the cloud, and it just gets better. And then, as the last 2 years went by, the engine optimizations that started to happen were just more and more fantastic. And I just when I watched the WWDC speech, the presentation that Apple did, they boasted that the Safari browser is now has the world's most performant JavaScript engine in it. Now, come on. When they say something like that, what does that make everyone do? Get in their car and drive straight to the office and say, Yeah, you think so? The guys at Google scramble, the guys at Firefox, everybody says, let's go. Let's take that challenge. This is beautiful for all of us in the room. It means that there's people working extremely hard, it's extremely smart people, to make this browser run very, very well. And remember, when you're inside of JavaScript and you move a bitmap around, you're not moving the bitmap around in JavaScript. You're moving it around in compiled C, natively on that platform, which means you've got the power very, very close to the same power of what a native compiled C app has running in that browser. Now that's a secret that not very many people were sharing. And the fact is all you've got to do is add another 15, 20 dedicated functions and that relate directly to gaming. So when you go to do your A-star, your double A-star, your flow field pathfinding, whatever your system is, that function can run with a compiled C solution. And they're all going to be running as fast as they can, the various browser makers, to implement these very competitive features. They've got a long way to go, right? Our sound and music playback capability is lousy. You still want to fall back into Flash. But the fact is, this platform is amazing, and it is absolutely the future. I shouldn't be telling anyone that. It's like yelling gold in the mountains. And then everybody goes, huh? What did he say? Let's go. Because it is gold, and it's fabulous. And here's the good news for the big GPU chip makers like AMD, because we're here at their conferences. We need all the CPU and GPU power we can get, because every nickel we squeeze out of that, we get to apply it to the problem of the scripted language interpreter and all of the inherent loss of performance we get in the JavaScript side. So we still need fat, juicy GPUs and CPUs. So everybody keeps working hard and making the future better. But man, there's nothing like logging in and just bam, you're up and running. Caching has to get better, but man, it's all there in our future. The next 2 to 5 years, it's just going to explode, and you're going to get it all through a browser. Hope I answered the question in there somewhere.
Also, to add to that, same thing, is I totally agree. Microsoft came out with IE9, and they were touting total DirectX optimization and acceleration in 3D and everything else, and Facebook ran a test, through one of their hackathons, and they came out and they ran the same program on every browser there was, and actually on Safari it only ran 25 frames a second, right, on an iPhone, right, not on Mac, on an iPhone, and it went all the way up to running IE, right, and they were getting 1,800 frames per second from the exact same app, right, and that's at the time that Facebook said, well, hey, we're going to do HTML5 and we're going to focus, and they changed. Everybody in the company was using Internet Explorer, right? Well, that's not the case anymore, right? Because all these other browsers said, well, we're going to come out and do the same sort of thing. Apple is now touting the fastest JavaScript, but they're not touting the fastest 3D renderer, right? So, that's still something that I think all the browser manufacturers need to really focus on, and we need everybody's support, right, to help make sure that they do that, right? Now, I totally agree. Having an optimized JavaScript is key, because the product we're working on is 100% Java and JavaScript. It's not HTML5, because that's the other known secret. HTML5 doesn't really work, doesn't solve all your problems. And even Facebook is moving away from it to doing a dedicated platform. So you need a way to solve these problems, but the answer is yes, absolutely, it is the best kept secret. Do a browser-based product.
I want to give the audience a chance to question, but you provoked me, I'm sorry. So where does OpenGL fit in, or WebGL fit in all this?
I think it fits in great.
Yeah, it's not defined yet. It's not really 100%. But absolutely, any of these add-ons that get produced that give us a better capability to do the rendering at the rate that the hardware can do it without having to focus on it, bring it on.
All right. So you had a question, Charlie?
Yeah, question for Chris.
Loud. They can't hear you in the back.
Question for Chris. Total annihilation on level 3. No, just kidding.
You're in the valley.
This is a serious question. At GDC, everything was monetization of casual games, monetization, which kind of makes sense because game development